How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Scoring from the 50 podcast. How are you guys this week? All right, we got a huge week of college football ahead of us. Okay, last weekend we had Miami versus Florida. We had Texas Tech, Utah, Auburn, Oklahoma, Illinois, and Indiana, a huge blowout. And then Michigan, Nebraska. The only one that we're really going to break down of that game is Michigan, Nebraska, just because I've had a lot of time recently to be doing this. But we're here, okay? It might be, 2:30 in the morning on Wednesday night, Thursday morning, but we're here doing the Scoring from the 50 podcast. Before I get into it, I do want to make sure that I let you guys know to subscribe, hit the like button. That's been a huge issue that I've noticed on some of my videos recently, is that I have however many views, but only 10% of them are subscribed. So make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps me a ton to make sure that I know that I'm making good content. If not, let me know what I can do in the comments to let me know what I can do to improve the show and make it better for you guys. But I also want to explain the shirt. I got a Hawaii shirt on today because my parents just got back from their 20th anniversary trip to Hawaii, and they brought me back a Hawaii football shirt because they knew that I love college football, and they thought it'd be pretty cool for me to have that. So I wanted to show that off and say thank you to my parents. It looks great. I love it. But yeah, let's get into this episode. I mean, we have a ton of football this weekend that's going to sound awesome. We got huge games. Okay, we got USC and Illinois, we got LSU and Ole Miss, Penn State and Oregon, and Alabama and Georgia to talk about today, as well as talk a little bit about the games that happened last weekend. So to start, let's look at Miami and Florida, okay? Miami won this game defensively because they knew that Florida's offense wasn't ever going to do anything in that game, okay? DJ Lagway has looked absolutely horrendous this year. I think people really kind of underestimated how important missing spring ball was to him. He missed spring ball, and then he missed a lot of fall camp too because he was hurt. I think we really underestimated how big of a deal that was for him, especially because he didn't get a full year starting last year, right? He hasn't gotten a full offseason of being the guy. So I think that has really, really hurt him, and especially that Florida offense in general has just looked horrible. So I need to see them get better throughout the year. I don't think they're going to. I think Florida is a complete lost cause at this point. I think we're almost at a point to where you throw the season out and fire Billy Napier and move on. And I'm bummed to say that because I believed in the Billy Napier hire whenever it happened, and it did not work at all. I mean, I don't think they should have fired Dan Mullen, but I think I think Billy Napier was the guy. Looking back, that was probably the worst take that I've ever had. This has gone horribly. And especially after last season, I was starting to believe, man, and it just has not gone well at all. But on the Miami side of things, they're a national championship contender. I think that they are easily a top 5 team in the country. And this is coming from someone who did not believe that they would be in that conversation at all before the season started. I think I mentioned in my top 10 preview, the first episode that I had back on this show, I said that Florida was going to win that game easily. Well, I was very, very wrong. Okay, I mean, they showed no sign of life in that game whatsoever. Florida has not shown any sign of life in any game that they've played. So, really, really disappointing for Florida. But again, Miami looks really, really good. Carson Beck, I mean, he didn't even play his best game. The offense didn't look great against Florida because Florida's defense has looked pretty good. But I think that the Miami's offense, the fact that you could throw in a bad game, I mean, I wouldn't say bad, but like a mediocre, not their A-level game. They don't need their offense to be at a top level to be able to win football games. And I think that is a huge deal for Miami to be able to know that even if their offense isn't clicking, they still have that defense and Ruben Payne to go make plays and make them win a game, right? So I think that really either way you could play that because Miami has shown that their offense can look good. They looked good against Notre Dame a few weeks ago, but we just saw them win a game even though their offense wasn't very good. The defense, I think, on the other hand, I think if they have a game that maybe they don't play as good, the offense can be able to step up there. And I think that that's going to be a huge deal for Miami, especially in games that maybe one of those two sides of the ball doesn't show up. In an ACC game that one side of the ball overlooked for whatever reason, they decided that, this game isn't that important. We're not going to focus on this. Maybe, the week after they play Florida State in a couple weeks, that's going to be a huge game. I cannot wait for that game. That's going to be like an old 1990s style football game that I haven't gotten to see. Like, when was the last time I saw Florida State and Miami good at the same time? Well, I haven't. I've seen Florida State be good. I saw them be good for probably the first time last 2 years ago in 2023 with Jordan Travis back then. He got hurt. I still think that what happened to them in the playoff conversation was a complete travesty. I think they should have easily gotten in over Alabama. I know we can bring up a Michigan thing thinking that they should have, gotten an easy path, but now that we beat Alabama in that game and won the Rose Bowl, won the national championship, I feel like I can still say Florida State should have been in. I used to say that all the time. People were like, well, you just didn't want Alabama and you don't want to be playing Alabama. I was in the camp of, well, it doesn't matter because if we want to be the best, we have to beat the best anyway. So it didn't matter who we played. We were needing to beat them. So, but if I was taking myself out of that, I mean, how do you say no to an undefeated conference champion, Power 5 conference champion, and you leave them out? That didn't make any sense to me. But that's the only time that I've really seen Florida State be good. I'm not old enough really to remember the 2013 Florida State days or the 2014 Florida State days. Like, I'm just not old enough for that. I was 4, 5, 6 years old whenever that happened. I just don't remember that happening. I've heard stories. You got Marcus Mariota, you got Jameis Winston going at it. I mean, they were 1-2 in the draft one year. I mean, it's like a folklore to me, right? Like, I wish Florida State could be good like that every single year. And I think they got the coach to do it. I think they do. I think he's a really good coach. I think the way that he mixes the blend of high school and transfer portal is really good. I mean, I think that they did that 2 years ago. I think they messed up last year, and then this year they have another really good blend. So I like what Florida State's doing, and I really cannot wait for this matchup against Miami, man. I mean, it's like I just said, it's an old 1990s style game, and I love it. I love it. I cannot wait to watch that game, man. It's going to be a huge one. It's a huge one. Top 10 game, hopefully. Hopefully Florida State can get past Virginia this weekend, and that's going to be a huge game. I can't wait for it. But Texas Tech and Utah also happened over the weekend, and so I had to work on Saturday, right? So I didn't miss the Michigan-Nebraska game because I was listening to it in my AirPod, trying to hide it from my bosses and everything while I was working at the KC Current. So I was able to listen to a lot of it. I know what happened, right? But I left at the end of the Texas Tech-Utah game because Texas Tech was up like 20-10 or something, somewhere around there. I'm not 100% sure, but it was like a 10-point game. I'm like, okay, this game's over. Like, I can go, I can leave, whatever. And then I get there and I look at the score and Texas Tech has blown them out. Where did that come from? Apparently Baron Morton got hurt. What a game. What a game. I mean, Texas Tech, they kind of put themselves in not only like above everyone else, but like they created a gap between everyone else in the Big 12, which doesn't happen very often in that conference. So that is incredibly impressive from Texas Tech. Again, Baron Morton didn't even really play. But that backup that went in, I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but he played really, really well. Utah and Devin Napier, I'm not sure about them. I mean, they look good the first, about half and a quarter, maybe. Like 3/4, maybe halfway through the third quarter. The crowd noise played a huge, huge impact on that game. But it really didn't. I mean, look at the final score, man. Like, it just was not Utah's day, I guess. I mean, the offense has to be better. They can't just rely on Devin Napier every single play. They just can't do that. Like, I think that's going to be their issue going forward in the Big 12 in a league that is still very tightly compact, especially for that second spot. Because, I mean, Texas Tech has to play somebody in the conference championship to get to the college football playoff. So that battle now between, I'd say maybe an Arizona State, a Utah, an Iowa State, that is a huge deal, and I think Utah definitely still has everything to play for there. And I think Texas Tech could very easily lose a game along the lines here. So really, you're still playing for everything. Everything's still ahead of you. Everything that you wanted to accomplish is still ahead of you. But I think you got a lot more work to do, and the work is more cut out for them than it is for Texas Tech. Now, Arizona State, even though they did lose to Mississippi State, which was kind of iffy, that's not good at all, but they were able to beat Baylor over the weekend. So they've got momentum going. Iowa State has momentum going. They already beat K-State. They already beat Iowa. Iowa State looks really good. So I think it's down to a 4-team race. I know Baylor has looked really good. Sawyer Robinson has been insane for them. But I think now we're down to a 4-team race for 2 spots in the conference championship. And it's Texas Tech and then Iowa State, Arizona State, Utah, not in any order or anything. But those 4 teams, I think I can say pretty confidently that's going to be one of the 4 teams out of the Big 12 in the college football playoff. Also this weekend, Auburn and Oklahoma. I mean, Jackson Arnold returned to Oklahoma this weekend, and what a return it was. It wasn't anything. He got sacked 10 times. The offensive line didn't show up, but he was also holding the ball a little bit long. That's a game, again, that I kind of didn't get to see much of. I watched the highlights afterwards. I was able to rewatch the game a little bit. Auburn did not look that good. Right? They looked better than what they did against Oklahoma last year. Like, I was listening to Andy and Ari on 3. They were talking about how you don't look at this game and think, wow, it's going to be a long year for both these teams. Oklahoma looked good. Oklahoma looked good. Again, 10 sacks. That's hard to argue with, right? That's a good stat line, I'd say. But Auburn, I mean, it's Jackson Arnold's got to be able to throw the ball, man. He can run the ball pretty well, but he can't win games with his legs. He has to be able to win games with his arm. And I think the offensive line has to be able to give him a shot to do that. So I think Auburn, what they need this year is to just show progression. Show that you can make a bowl game. Get to 8 wins. Get to 7 or 8 wins. I think that should be the goal for Auburn. I think that would be a really good year for Auburn. I think that would set them up really well next year with, I believe, Deuce Knight playing quarterback in return of Jackson Arnold. And then you still got Cam Coleman there. Cam Coleman is a freak, man. He's insanely good. He can carry a team to a playoff just because of how good that he is. Just throw him up to him. Just throw it up to him, man. He's that good. He's that kind of wide receiver. So I think if you bring back a lot of guys for next year, I think they could be really good. So I think if you're Auburn, just aim for a 7 or 8 win season, man. You don't got to make a playoff. Just keep your job if you're Hugh Freeze, right? That's the goal. For Oklahoma, you feel good coming out of that game until you find out that Jackson Arnold now has to go get surgery on his thumb. What do they do now? Their quarterback last year, he did play a little bit. He didn't look very good. No quarterback looked good last year, especially not one of Jackson Arnold. But I think that you can kind of chalk that up to a bad offensive line. You can chalk that up to your receivers being hurt. So he didn't have the best surrounding area, right? He wasn't in a good situation at all. So maybe now, he'll be in a better situation, way better offensive line. His weapons aren't hurt. He could be in a much better situation this year. I think he could play a lot better. Kind of what John Mateer's doing, right? Like, he's playing really good, playing better than he did at Washington State because he has a better supporting cast. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm curious to see how that plays out. I think if Oklahoma wants to make a run in the playoff, they for sure need John Mateer back because that's the kind of player that he is. I think he's an absolute difference maker for them. He's a Baker Mayfield type of player. He's a Kyler Murray type of player for OU. He's that kind of player. He can change a game at any given moment with either his legs or his arm. He can just make a play that you don't see many people making in college football, especially in a year that quarterbacks are down this year, right? You got Arch Manning struggling. You got Julian Sand being all right. Drew Aller hasn't looked great so far. We'll talk about Drew Aller a little bit later in the Oregon and Penn State preview. I mean, Gunnar Stockton has looked better than we thought. Carson Beck has looked a lot better than he did last year. You got Ty Simpson looking good, but Alabama in general, I mean, he lost to Florida State. Since the Florida State loss, they've looked good. But, I mean, just looking around college football, DJ Lagway has struggled. You got Lenore Sellers really kind of struggling at South Carolina. Bo Perbula has stepped up a little bit. But you look around college football and you don't really see that A+ diamond in the rough kind of like, or even a 5-star type of player playing at a 5-star level, right? I think right now, John Mateer was probably the favorite to win the Heisman. In my eyes, he was the favorite to win the Heisman. And then below that, who do you have? I mean, I'm looking at maybe an Ahmed Hardy from Mizzou. You're looking at, honestly, for me, a Ruben Bain at Miami. He's looked really, really, really good. But outside of that, those kind of feel like the only 3 superstars in my eyes that I've seen play this year, right? I mean, even Jeremiah Smith, he kind of struggled. Ryan Williams has struggled at times. I mean, you look at Michigan, Justice Haynes has played really good. I think he can be thrown into that conversation. I think you could have thrown Auburn's running back into that situation until this game. He didn't look very good. I mean, look at Garrett Nussmeier. He's been hurt. He hasn't been playing very good. Cade Klubnik hasn't been playing very good. So if you're looking at losing a guy like John Mateer, who is that good, and you can look at and say that is a reliable quarterback in a country that doesn't have a lot of reliable quarterbacks right now, that is invaluable for Oklahoma, and losing that is going to hurt a ton for them. So hopefully they can get him back, and hopefully he can get back on track for his Heisman potential that he had. I don't think he will. I think he's going to miss too much time. So someone's going to have to step up and win the Heisman, right? You can't have everyone playing bad. So we'll see where that goes from there. Huge loss for Oklahoma, but they got a few weeks to build up to a Texas Red River shootout game, so I cannot wait for that. But we'll see. We'll see about Oklahoma. Auburn, again, you just gotta get 7 or 8 wins. That's a good season for them. That's a great season for what they've had recently. So hopefully they can get to where they need to be. And Oklahoma, I think they're at a point where now if they don't make the college football playoff, it seems a little bit disappointing. Of course, if you look back, like if you're looking at the season before the season, you're thinking, okay, 8 or 9 to 10 wins is a really good season for Oklahoma. Well, now that you've seen John Mateer play, it's like your expectations rise. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but your expectations go up. Now they come a little bit harder to reach, especially without a John Mateer. So we'll see where Oklahoma goes for here. I'm excited to see where they go, but now I'm a little definitely more nervous. Illinois and Indiana was a game that happened this weekend. Indiana's the only team that showed up. 63-10. Indiana drug Illinois through the mud, okay? A lot of people have said it this week. I said it last week. I asked the question, who's this year's Indiana? Is it Indiana or Illinois? Well, it turns out it's just Indiana again. I love the way that Indiana's playing. Okay, Fernando Mendoza looks like an absolute stud. That's a name I should have just mentioned. Out of all those quarterbacks I just named, Fernando Mendoza is the name I should have mentioned. He's looked really good through the first 4 weeks of the season. He could take them to a playoff again. I think he has the potential to not take them to a playoff and get blown out for Notre Dame, but they could beat a good college football playoff team and maybe make a run. I love what Indiana's doing, man. I love what Indiana's doing. Curt Cignetti, Google him. He's that good, man. He can take them to high levels this year. As for Illinois, I mean, they got to bounce back like that, right? They got to play USC this weekend. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That's the first game that we'll talk about. But, man, Illinois, you just got skull drugged. That was embarrassing. 63-10 in prime time. I didn't even watch the game. I got home from working at the KC Current, and the game's like 54-10. I didn't even turn it on. What's the point, man? You got to be so disappointed if you're Illinois. I know. I got Blake. Blake, you're probably watching this. I'm sorry, man. My friend Blake Heron lives down the street from me. It was a rough weekend for him. He's a big Illinois fan. He's also an Arkansas fan, I think, so he can go cheer for them, I guess. He'll be all right. Actually, I don't know if you want to go cheer for them either. They just lost to Memphis. Got a good quarterback, Taylor Green, but they just lost to Memphis. So, sorry, Blake. It's been a rough season for you. 63-10. But you got USC this weekend. You can bounce back. Illinois can bounce back this weekend. Got USC at home. That could be... I mean, USC's really flying under the radar. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm trying to hold myself back from talking about that game. But Illinois, you can bounce back this weekend. A prime opportunity. Just like Florida. They lost to USF, but they could bounce back against LSU. They didn't. And then they also didn't, again, against Miami. But Illinois, you got a chance. Season's not over. You can still win 8 or 9 games. Still make a playoff, potentially. But, I mean, for Indiana, maybe Indiana's just that good. Maybe they are. Maybe they're just that good. You don't know. They look that good. The Michigan-Nebraska game, I finally can really get into. I got some stats here. You got Michigan-Nebraska, 30-27 your final score, and it wasn't that close. It wasn't that close, okay? Dylan Raiola, he had a really good game. I will say Dylan Raiola looked good. 30 for 41, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, which wasn't necessarily his fault. I think the tight end, you heard in Matt Rule's press conference, I don't know if you heard that. The tight end was supposed to sit. He didn't. He throws it behind him, tipped, Cole Sullivan interception. Great play. Ja'Cory Barney, the wide receiver, also had 6 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a huge day for him. But they gave up 7 sacks. Those are my 3 stats for Nebraska. They gave up 7 sacks. Just not good. You can't win games you're going to win if you're going to give up 7 sacks. Like Auburn can't beat Oklahoma if they're going to give up 10 sacks. That's rough. That's really rough. Nebraska, they feel like they're right there. But it also feels like they're so far away because that game really should not have been that close, okay? 7 sacks again is just completely unacceptable, man. You got to be able to run the ball better. If you can run the ball better, it doesn't put Jayshon Barnum and Derek Moore. That doesn't put them in obvious pass rushing situations where they just can go and hunt down the quarterback. That's all you need to worry about. You have to be able to run the ball better. Fortunately for them, they have a decently easy schedule. I think they only have 2 more games that they're not going to be favored in. I think they play USC, and I believe it's Ohio State later in the season. I'm not 100% sure, but they're in a good spot. I think they're still in a good spot. Again, they were able to keep it to a 3-point game. And the fact that they were able to keep it a 3-point game, even in the fact that, they gave up they scored a Hail Mary touchdown. They were getting out physical all game. Who even did that? There was a guy going like this to the freaking sideline on Michigan to Nebraska. Like, what are we doing? We were up 2 scores, and that would have caused them to punt, and we had a chance to go up 3 scores. And you taunting? What are we doing? What are we doing? You can't be doing that. All right, so, and then you throw in a garbage touchdown as well. Just not a game that Nebraska really felt close in. But I think that Dylan Raiola is there. He just needs help. So I think maybe not this year. Maybe it's the rule isn't in year 3. Maybe it just applies to year 4 this year. You don't know. But this season certainly isn't over for them, right? I mean, like I said, they got an easy schedule. Dylan Raiola is looking really good. Ja'Cory Barney had a really good game. Really, really, really good game last weekend. So we'll see about Nebraska. We will see. As for Michigan, Bryce Underwood didn't light the world on fire. He went 12 for 22, 105 yards. He did on the ground, though. 8 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Man, that QB draw play. Could not have been better timed. I loved it. Justice Haynes had another 100-plus yard game. He went 17 carries, 149 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Marshall had 6 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. Another key player that I don't think is going to get a lot of talk on different podcasts and everything, Dominic Zavada. He was lights out last year. I mean, he was automatic. But this year's gotten off to a tough start. He's already missed 2 field goals, but against Nebraska, 3 for 3, 46 yards and 56 yards. That 56-yard field goal, that was vintage Dominic Zavada. Okay, that's what we need to see more out of him. Again, we only won by 3, so that's kind of what won us that game, right? Start kicking. Dominic Zavada showed up in that game. I think that's a big deal for Michigan going forward because I think it might be tough for them to punch in scores. I think Bryce Underwood, again, he's good. He's not great yet. Let's be real. I mean, of course, being good, like I was talking about earlier, is good for college football right now, but he's good, not great. He's good, not great. So I think he'll be, maybe that translates to being able to get into the red zone, but not being able to punch it in. Kind of like towards the end of that game where they had a 10-play, really long drive that ended in a field goal and not a touchdown. Dominic Zavada kicks it. That ends up being the game winner. I think Dominic Zavada being back to being automatic again is going to be a huge deal. For Michigan, we looked really good, man. Again, I know I say we, I shouldn't say we, but we looked really good. All right, we had 7 sacks. It really felt like we should have won by a lot more than 3, okay? A Hail Mary, drop touchdowns, garbage time touchdown, taunting penalties. We should have won by a lot more. This puts Michigan in a position where they only need to win one of Ohio State or USC. Because they have an easy schedule. They really do, okay? We have to play USC. Everyone else doesn't look very good on our schedule, right? So we have to play USC. We have to go to USC. And then we have Ohio State at home to finish the season, of course. So if they can just get one, of those games, they should be in the playoff just because the rest of their schedule is that easy. And if they just get one, if they lose another one, that means they're 10-2. I think 10-2 for Michigan gets you in almost every year. And I think that's the goal for Michigan. I think that, as a fan, that was my goal for the year, is to get into the playoff. Just get Bryce some experience in big games. And let me tell you, the most impressive thing that I think I've seen from Michigan all year is the fact that Bryce Underwood does not look phased at the slightest in these big games. On that touchdown run that he had, did you see him sticking out his tongue? I'm not going to do it. I don't want to demonstrate. But you see him was sticking out his tongue while running and into the end zone against Nebraska in a crowd in about maybe, I don't know how many people that there are in Nebraska Stadium, but it's a lot. It is a big stadium. It's a bucket list stadium for me to go to, and I'm sure I will soon because it's probably the biggest stadium that I would consider that's close to me. So I will for sure get there at some point. I can't wait. But that is a huge stadium. Everyone there is cheering against them. This is Nebraska's opportunity to make a statement win. I mean, if you going into the week, all I heard was the rule. It's year 3 of Matt Rule. Everything pointed to Nebraska being back for this after this game, right? It's a home game for Nebraska. Michigan's got a true freshman quarterback that they haven't really figured out yet. They were throwing screens and not running them against Oklahoma. They didn't look good at all on offense. They don't have receivers. The defense looks good, but this is Dylan Raiola's second year. He's supposed to take a jump, which he has, to be honest. He looked really good, but it's at home. It's a rule. I mean, everything pointed to Nebraska winning that game, and they didn't. And I think that has a lot to do with how Bryce handles these away situations. The games that he plays away, even against Oklahoma, he didn't play great, but I don't think the coaching staff and the play calling let him play great. I think that was the biggest problem with Bryce in that game. So, especially the way that he lit up the ground. I mean, I saw he was running 21 miles an hour, man. You cannot, I don't care who you have as a backup, you can't take that off the field if you're Michigan. That's how you're going to win games. That's how maybe his arm isn't working one day. That's how he bails himself out of his arm and just not being weird. Like, maybe he's just firing everything in. Because that's probably one of the few issues that I've seen in Bryce's games, that he's throwing everything way too hard. Like, he's got plays that are 5 yards forward and he's zinging them at his receivers. His receivers aren't good enough to catch that. Okay? And that's not necessarily Bryce's issue, but it is. It is. So you got to have a little touch. But maybe one day he's just zinging them in there. And he just can't find his receivers, right? They can't catch one day for whatever reason. How do you bail that out? You run the ball with Bryce. How do you bail that out? You have a 75-yard touchdown from Justice Haynes. You have a 60-some-odd yard run from Jordan Marshall. That's how you bail yourself out of the games. That's a winning formula for Michigan. The fact that you can have multiple ways to win with either Bryce Underwood or the run game or the defense being that suffocating. Again, 7 sacks, man. 7 sacks. That's insane. Michigan has a blueprint to win games now. And I think if they can follow that to a T, then they can make the playoff for sure. For sure. I like where Michigan sits. I like where Michigan sits a lot going forward. Let's talk about this upcoming weekend, okay? Our first big game of the weekend is going to be USC traveling to Champaign, Illinois, 12 p.m. Eastern. Again, how does Illinois respond? Are they actually any good? Or are they just Clemson without the national championships? Bring back all this talent just to under succeed. That's what Clemson's doing this year. Oh yeah, they also lost to Syracuse over the weekend. That's a game we didn't even talk about. Clemson lost to Syracuse this weekend. I know. We'll get back to the UC and Illinois game. Clemson lost to Syracuse, man. In Death Valley. The fake Death Valley. I'm calling it the fake Death Valley until those two teams play again. But what happened? What happened? They brought back everyone from a team that went to the playoffs and won the ACC last year. I mean, like Dabo was yelling about last year, right? Sorry, I got to fix my shirt a little bit. But Dabo was yelling last week about how they've won the conference 8 of the last 10 years. This is supposed to be a year that they went back to competing for a national championship with the talent that they brought back. And they're 1-3. The Georgia Tech loss can be explained. Georgia Tech's a good team. I think that they're a really good team. The LSU game can be explained. They're a really good team. This Syracuse one, I don't know, man. The defense looked abysmal. Just absolutely horrible. You got to be so disappointed if you're a Clemson fan, man. This was your year to get back on the map. And it has crashed and burned in week 4. I would not be looking forward to watching the rest of the season, man. You're on Florida State levels of territory here. This is how Florida State season went. It's like, oh, it can't get worse than it was last week. And then it does. And then, oh, it can't get even worse. And then it did. That's what Florida State did last year. You know how you fix that is you hit the portal. Vis-a-vis Florida State. Look how good they look this year after hitting the portal again. Clemson doesn't do that. So where's Clemson go as a program from here, man? This was their year to come back, and they just have completely failed. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about them. I really don't. They are that bad. They're that bad. They shouldn't be ranked. They shouldn't be anywhere near the AP Top 25. I don't think they are necessarily, but just no reason. No reason for them to be doing what they are doing right now. But back to the USC Illinois game. I know I went off on a tangent there for a second. Our first game of the weekend is USC at Illinois, 12 Eastern. Again, how does Illinois respond? All right, right. I know I just said this a little bit, but how does Illinois respond? They have to respond to a 63-10 loss against a team that is a state over from them. It's like Michigan, Ohio State levels of distance between the two. KU and Mizzou levels of distance between the two. And that's got to be a tough loss. I know that they're not big rivals, but that's got to be a tough loss. 63-10, man. After, again, we just talked about Clemson. Illinois brought back all this talent, man. And they don't look good. They do not look good at all. So how do they respond? This could be USC's statement win. Like I talked about a little bit earlier, and I tried to hold myself back, but USC has seemed kind of really under the radar this year, right? It doesn't feel like a lot of people have been talking about them. Jaden Mayava has been lighting it up in LA. They're ranked 22. This is their shot to be ranked top 15. I think if they win this game, I think it's going to put them on the map. I think people are going to be paying attention. Not that USC isn't on the map, it's USC. But this is their shot to go and put themselves on the map, right? I think they just need their defense to look like a Big Ten defense. And I think they have so far. But they have to show up. They have to show that they have made a difference, right? They have to show that they're better than what they've been under Lincoln Riley so far. So, again, the offenses look great. Jane Mayava and that offense have not put up less than 33 points so far this season. And, man, either way, win or lose this game, I can't wait for them to play Michigan. I cannot wait for them to play Michigan, man. But this is a big, big game for USC and Illinois. I mean, again, Illinois is just in a huge spot to bounce back, and USC is here to make a statement win. Now, the game that everyone should be talking about, but they are not, because this is such a good weekend of college football. LSU versus Ole Miss. Okay, well, I wrote this little snippet of my thoughts before I found out that Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating Whit Weeks, the linebacker at LSU. This sport, man. This sport. This is I love college football so much, and this is one of those moments. It's like you're not gonna get that anywhere else in college football. The head coach, his daughter, hard launches their relationship on Instagram for a opponent's linebacker. Imagine you saying that in the NFL. Imagine Andy Reid's daughter, and I don't even know if he has a daughter, but imagine Andy Reid's daughter ends up dating the linebacker of the Chargers. You're not going to see that, man. You only get this in college football. It's one of my favorite things, man. The uniqueness and just the craziness and the randomness that happens in the sport, man. This is why we love it. That's just so crazy. But yes, the news, if you did not hear, is that Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry Kiffin, is dating Whit Weeks, the star linebacker at LSU. And I feel like you got to take the over, right? I mean, Lane Kiffin himself said to take the over because he's going to run it up on his daughter's boyfriend, and that is hilarious, man. I love it. But let's talk about football. Let's talk about on the field stuff, okay? Despite LSU being ranked 9 spots higher than Ole Miss, it feels like Ole Miss should win this game. They don't even have their starting quarterback, which I think that they actually do, right? I think that Austin Simmons got hurt, but Trinidad Chambliss out of Ferris State, the D2 national champion last year. I know I have another friend, Wes, who's a big Northwest Missouri State fan. He's at Northwest Missouri State fan right now. He's my Georgia input guy, by the way, too. He's got to hate this guy. I mean, he's from Ferris State. That was a big rivalry back in D2, back in the 2010s, early 2020s. They would go at it for national champions, and he's got to hate this Trinidad Chambliss guy, man. But he's good. He's really good. Let's see. I got some stats on here. He threw for 353 yards against Arkansas, and he threw for 307 against Tulane for 4 combined passing touchdowns. That's not even mentioning what he does on the ground, man. Trinidad Chambliss is a dog. He's a D2 dog. D2 dog. You don't get to hear that in Power 5 level football anymore. Certainly not in the SEC. Man, I love it. I love Trinidad Chambliss. But it feels like, despite how lower Ole Miss is ranked, it feels like they should win this game. It really does. LSU's offense has looked just stagnant. Just stagnant. I think it's because they can't run the ball. Plus, Garrett Nussmeier's been hurt. So I think if you put those two together, that just doesn't add up well. If you can't run the ball and you can't throw the ball, your offense probably isn't going to be able to move the ball very far. But I think that could change if Nussmeier's fully healthy. I think that could change. I think that's going to take a little bit of pressure off Caden Durham. I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off the receivers if Garrett Nussmeier can be that guy again. So we'll see. I think if he's healthy, LSU will have a much better shot at winning this game, but I don't think he is. I don't think he is. And on the other side of the ball, for Ole Miss, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for them because both of them looked really good. And so the way that Ole Miss has struggled this year is their defensive run game. They've looked abysmal. But if LSU can't run the ball, then how are they going to score anyways? I don't see it. I see Ole Miss winning this game, and I see them winning kind of handily, even though it's at LSU. I think Ole Miss is going to win this game. I think they're going to be the year after. Like, they were supposed to be good last year. I think this is the year after the year. I think they're going to be really, really good this year, and I think they're going to make the playoff this year. If I had to guess, I think this is Ole Miss's year to make the playoffs because I like the quarterback play. To be honest, I'm saying this softly, I like their quarterback play more than Jackson Dart. Just saying, sue me. I like what their quarterbacks have to bring more than what Jackson Dart has to bring. So I think that they're going to win this game, and I think that they're going to go to the playoff this year. I can't wait for Ole Miss. I can't wait to see where they go, man. I can't wait for this game. This is the third best game, I'd say. I mean, the game that's getting the third most attention. You got Penn State and Oregon, Alabama and Georgia. Those are the two games that we're going to talk about after this. And this game would have been the number one game last week. This game would have been in prime time. Would have been over Miami and Florida. Would have been over Michigan and Nebraska. Would have been over Indiana and Illinois, clearly, 63-10. So this game is crazy. This game is insane that it's the third best game in my mind to watch this weekend. And it's at 2:30. 2:30. I can't wait. 2:30 on ABC. LSU, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, Whit Weeks. Everyone's involved. Even if you're not involved, you're involved. I can't wait for it, but I think Ole Miss is going to win that game. Now, the ESPN game of the week. I know they announced that they are going, I believe that they're going to Penn State for the whiteout. I think that is the right choice. I don't see why you wouldn't go to that game for a whiteout. But Alabama and Georgia is a close second. This is the late night ABC game while the whiteout is on Peacock. Is it on NBC? I know it's on Peacock. Will it be on NBC? I'm not sure. So, how does Alabama win this game? They need Ty Simpson to show up more than he has. They just do. He hasn't shown up as much as he needed to. This is their return trip to Sanford Stadium after a huge game last year. Do you guys remember this game? Alabama. I mean, how could you not remember this game? Alabama got up to, I think it was a 28-0 lead, 28-10 lead, 28-something lead. They were by a lot. Georgia comes back, is winning at one point, and then the deep ball to Ryan Williams happens. Ryan Williams, the legend of Ryan Williams, is born in that game. He catches the ball, spin move, makes two guys miss, scores a touchdown, and same play. That's the birth of one Ryan Williams, and the reason why he is on the cover of my video game that I play all the time. Can he do that again? He hasn't been able to do that this year. He has not looked good. He actually did have a crazy play. I think it was not last week, but the week before. I forgot. They were playing some nobody's school, and he made two guys miss hilariously. But this is their chance to show that maybe Florida State is just that good. Maybe they were just that good. I think the key for Alabama, and even if they do this, they still might lose, but they have to be able to take a punch. Under Kalen DeBoer, any time that they have been punched in the face in a game, they fold. It happened against Florida State. They got punched in the face, and then you saw people jogging, you saw people not trying as hard, not wanting to finish blocks, not playing through the whistle. That's not a problem that Alabama should ever have. You played for Nick Saban for 17 million years. Why is this an issue at Alabama? Effort should never be an issue at Alabama. So this is a competitive character game for Alabama. They're going to get punched in the mouth. It's Georgia. They're going to punch you in the mouth. You have to be able to respond if you're Alabama. But how do they do that? I believe they do that with the return of Jam Miller. They have to be able to stick to the run game. Even if they get behind, they have to be able to stick to the run game and then also find a Ryan Williams deep down the field. So you have to be able to balance. You can't just get into oh crap, we're down by however much, we have to throw the ball every single play. You can't do that. You can't do that if you're Alabama. You have to be able to get back up after you're getting punched. So the X factor is Jam Miller coming back. How good is he? How good is he off the injury? Is he a Jam Miller that can go make a difference, go make a play every once in a while, break off a big run? Or is he just an average running back that doesn't really make a difference in the game? We'll see. I think that's the key. Like if they're going to win the game, they need Jam Miller to be really good. I think Georgia should feel pretty comfortable going into this game, right? I mean, they already have some pop. They already have some proof of production against Tennessee. They went to Knoxville and took down the Volunteers. So I think that's a huge, huge, huge confidence boost for them. Not to mention they already retooled their wide receiver room, and this is where it needs to step up. It needs to prove itself against a pretty good Alabama secondary. They have to be able to prove themselves in this game. The fact that their investments were worth it at receiver. I think that quarterback play has to be better for Georgia. It just wasn't good for Carson Beck last year, man. It just was not good enough. So we'll see what they can do there. The run game with Nate Frazier has to be able to be there. The key for Georgia, and I think they should have an issue, but if their O-line can't block, if their O-line can't run the ball, that's whenever they have issues on the offensive side of the ball. So it's really just a question on who can run the ball better. Who can have the more explosive plays? Who can have the 13-yard run every once in a while? I think that's who's going to win this game. I really do. But I'm getting tired again. It is about 3 o'clock in the morning now, so I really got to keep this going. I do think that Alabama is going to fall to Georgia this weekend. I just don't see them going into Sanford Stadium and winning. I think that this is Georgia's year to be really good again. I think that they're even better than they were last year. I think they might be better than they were even the year before whenever Michigan won it. I think they're really good. I really like their offensive line. I think their receivers are so much better. The defense looks as good as always. I really like what Georgia's bringing this year. Now, I do need to hurry this up, okay? It's about 3 a.m., past 3 a.m. now. I got to get to bed, man. I really got to get to bed. So let's talk about this Penn State and Oregon game, and then I can go to bed, wake up in 4 or so hours, and then I can go to class. And then hopefully edit it and get it uploaded tomorrow. Please, I need to stay focused. Oregon is going to Penn State, man. This is Penn State's moment. This is the game that they're supposed to win. Like, you can make the argument that every big game that everyone complains about Penn State losing, they weren't supposed to win those games. They've never been favored against Ohio State. They've never been the team that was supposed to win, even last year. I mean, it was at home, but I think everyone kind of expected Ohio State to win. Well, this year, with all the hype that Penn State has going for them into the season, the hype is on Penn State's side this year. They have the older, more experienced team. They have the better roster. They're at home. It's the wideouts, the first time in forever that we're going to see the wideout in the spot that the wideout should be in. It's a big game. You put the wideout there. That's how it should work every single year. They finally get it this year. If they don't do it now, when are they going to do it? When are they going to do it? Drew Aller hasn't looked great, right? But what have they not shown? He has 626 yards, but he only has 4 touchdowns. I think that they're holding something back, though. I think that they haven't shown everything. And that's, I think, going to be a huge deal against Oregon's defense that's really experienced. I mean, we talked about it in the preseason where they only had like 3 returning starters. They have Uyunglele at linebacker, but I can't think. They have the safety from Purdue that sounded really good in the offseason. But everyone's new or young for Oregon, and I think that they're a year away. Kind of like Michigan. I know I always compare to Michigan, but they're a year away. Dante Moore, I think he has another year of eligibility after this. He can go pro after this year if he wants to, but I think that they're a year away. I think they're going to be good this year, just not great. I think they compete for a national championship next year for sure. So I think that Oregon is a year away, and which is why I feel like Penn State has to get the job done here. They have to. Like if they don't win this game, when are they ever going to win a big game? They have the roster to do it, man. I think they have the better roster here. They have the better roster. I don't think they have better coaching because I love Dan Lanning, a Casey guy. But I think that they have the better roster. They have Katron Allen, they have Nick Singleton, Drew Aller, Trevor Pena. I think this is Trevor Pena's game to show up. This is where the receivers prove themselves and say, hey, we're not last year's receiver room. This is the game that I think Penn State finally announces themselves, and I think this game is going to be Penn State's to lose, especially with the better roster, at home, whiteout. So many things are pointing towards a Penn State win. I think it just has to happen this week. If it doesn't, I don't see a way that they ever compete for what they want to compete for, which is a national championship. I saw something that was really odd. I saw Josh Pate on his Twitter. He put out a poll that said, life is on the world, the fate of the world rides on this game. Who are you picking to win? 73% of people said Oregon. And I thought that was interesting. And to be honest, I'm picking Penn State to win the game. But if you're putting the fate of the world, like the world ends tomorrow if I get this pick wrong, I think I'd go with Oregon, just because anytime Penn State's in a big game, you have to pick against them. So if I had $50,000 that I had to, which I do not have $50,000. I wish I had $50,000. I'm getting there. It's why I'm working so much. But if I had a ton of money to spend and I had to put it on this game, and I had to put on just who's going to win the game, I'd put it on Oregon. But my pick officially is going to be Penn State. Does this make any sense? Is this making any sense to you guys? What I'm trying to get at here. In big games, you've been known that you can't trust Penn State. And you've seen Oregon win big games. They beat Ohio State last year. They won the Big Ten championship against Penn State last year. They were the only team that went undefeated in the regular season last year. So why would you not, if your life is on the line, why would you not pick Oregon? But I'm going to pick Penn State because they have the better roster. It's the whiteout at home. James Franklin has to win this game. It's a toss-up, man. It's a toss-up. Again, it's such a weird vibe that you get while thinking about this game, because again, like I just said, you are conditioned to pick Oregon, but if you've been paying attention at all during the offseason or these first few weeks, you're picking Penn State. If you're a casual fan who's just coming back to the sport after last year, seeing Oregon go 12-0 and beat everyone in their path besides Ohio State at the end, which they were just in a horrible situation. The fact that they were the 1 seed and had to play Ohio State in the second round in their first game of the college football playoff was horrible. So I think casual fans could even see that. So if you're a casual fan just coming back, it's like, yeah, I'm picking Oregon. Why would I not pick Oregon? Penn State has always let me down in this situation. So why would I not pick Oregon? But again, I've paid attention all offseason, and I know how good this Penn State team is. I know who they brought back. I know just how good that they want to be and how much money they spent on this roster to bring them all back. So I am going to pick Penn State in this game. But that is going to do it for this episode of the Scoring from the 50 podcast, guys. I mean, if this isn't proof that I love doing this, man, it is 3:15 in the morning, and I still wanted to get this done and get this out for you guys. Because, man, whenever I started this, it was about 2:30 in the morning, right? I sat down and I looked down and I looked at my notes and I just got this big smile, man. I was so excited to record this. I felt like a kid on Christmas Eve, man. I love doing this. I have the biggest smile every time I sit down to do this podcast and just talk ball with you guys. I mean, I know I only have 39 subscribers. I know I'm going to get like maybe 40 views tops on this video, but I cannot overstate just how much fun I have doing this and just talking football, man. I love it. It's my dream to be able to do this, and hopefully it leads to something even bigger one day. But that's going to do it for this episode of Scoring from the 50. Again, your schedule this weekend, I think, in my opinion, you got to go USC, Illinois in the morning. Then you go to LSU, Ole Miss. And then Penn State, Oregon. You got to have 2 TVs for this weekend, man. You got to have 2 TVs to watch Penn State, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia. That's your viewing schedule for this weekend. But I cannot wait. I hope you guys cannot wait as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I will see you guys hopefully sometime next week. Hopefully it'll be at a better time and not, coming out late on Thursday and right before the game start. Like, I figured people by this time I probably think that I quit, just because this is where I quit the first time I really tried doing this. I quit after week 4. Well, here we are, week 4. We're still here. One more week. And I've passed my personal best of making it past week 4. All right. We are going to get it done. All right, but I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy watching some football. Sit back, kick up your chairs, relax, watch football all day long. I will see you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend.